Hello, hello, hello. Dave Pinson here, Philippine Bible Ministry. Today I want to talk about crying out to the Lord. So I'm going through the book of Judges in my adult Bible study right now, and as I was reading it, you keep noticing a pattern here, and the pattern is the people sin because they're following false gods. That they're doing these horrible, disgusting things. We won't get into the details, but they fall away from God, and so God punishes them because He told them before, if you don't do this, then this is what will happen. So He follows through, and then sometimes they wait years. It's always more than a year or two. Sometimes it's 7 years. I think one time it was, I forgot how many years, but many years, and sometimes many years. And then they finally look around and go, "Oh, maybe God will help us. Help! Help! We're sorry, Lord, right?" And then He helps them, and He sends another judge, and then it's like a pattern. It's a horrible pattern. They follow the pattern through the kings. They follow the pattern for hundreds of years. What does it start? Well, it starts in Egypt, right? So it starts in Egypt. Um, Joseph, remember the story of Joseph, and they go into Egypt, and then hundreds of years later, there raises up a Hyksos king. He's a shepherd king, and I think he desires their land, but there's too many of them. So anyway, they become slaves, and and I don't know how many years they finally cry out to God, help us, God, because they know who God is, because Moses. Well, they don't know who God is because of Moses. Hang on. Wow, we might have to go over this. So they know who God is because they have the stories of Abraham handed down. They have the stories. They don't have Moses yet, right? But they know who God is. So they cry out to God. But then in the book of Judges, they already have the whole everything written down. They have the books of Moses. They have Genesis. They have the Torah. They have the law. They have the law. But every time they sin, then what do? They cry out. They cry out. And then a lot of places in the Psalms it talks about, I cried out to God and He heard me. I cried out. I cried out. I cried out. When I was saved, I cried out to God. I was put in a position where I was being essentially, or in reality, I was being depressed and obsessed, not obsessed, depressed, held by the devil. And it's maybe not the devil. I don't think I rank the devil, but demonic forces were suppressing and holding me, and I cried out, "Help me, Jesus!" And He helped me. He helps you when you cry out to Him. But so what stopped those people? Why did they wait years to cry out to Him? Here's why they waited: because of sin. Because of sin. Because they're too pride. They're too prideful. A lot of times you see that, why were they following these other guys? Because everybody else was doing it. All the other countries are doing it. They seem to be doing all right, so we're going to follow. And I think it's pleasurable, because some of the things they did when they followed false gods was, they had these orgies and stuff, and just weird stuff happened. They also did horrible things with their babies, where they killed their babies, and they did horrible things, but some of it was pleasurable, and so it's like, this is cool. We can be like everybody else. We can do this and this. It'll be so fun to be worldly. We can follow the way of the world. We can get drunk all the time. We can party. We can do this, and we can just raise up the Baals, raise up the false gods, right? And they didn't want to turn to Him, even when they were oppressed. It took them years to finally hit that spot where they're like, "We need God. I'm sorry. Look what we did. We need God. Obviously, we didn't do the right thing." And I think that's what happens in our lives, right? That's how I was saved. It's kind of funny. So I just want to close with this. This isn't a very long video. It's just about crying out to God, and that God will touch you, and that for us it usually takes us to be in a bad place. Oftentimes by sin. He doesn't lead us to sin. The enemy leads us to sin. But it says, what does it say? Pray that the evil one, in the Lord's Prayer, it says, forgive us our daily trespasses, and then it says, deliver us from evil. But in the original language, it says, deliver us from the evil one, right? So we cry out to God, and He saves us. Hang on a second. I need to think this through. Hang on. So there's some Bible teachers out there that I respect that have said things like, well, we have to have God to be palatable. So God has to be good. We have to understand how good God is, so we will come to Him, because we will only follow somebody who we can rationalize is a good God. Or we have to get our head questions answered. Other people say that. Well, apologetics want to answer your head question. People like C.S. Lewis, lots of people, they want to answer all your questions, right? And I went through that too. So this is what I want to close with. I want to close with a little bit of my story of my salvation. So I had a lot of questions about it because I was like Romans 1. I knew there was a God. I even knew his name was Jesus when I started went into AA and got sober. And I knew that his name was Jesus, but I didn't know who he was. I didn't believe the Bible was true, so that wasn't a source for me. But I had a lot of questions, right? So I would ask all these questions, and I would try to figure things out, and I would actually pray in my own way. And like I said, I didn't really know who he was, but I would say, God, help me, show me this, because I don't want to do what I'm doing because it's not working for me. So help me. And you know what? He opened up a lot of things for me. He took me to the library, and I'm reading a certain book, and it's in this section where I used to like to read because I love to read. I'm a voracious reader. I still read a lot, but I used to go to this one sort of the metaphysical section where they have stuff about, it's like right next to all these books about recovery, like I forgot his name. Some of these recovery people, like the path less traveled, and things like the road less traveled, and so I'm in that area, and then it's right next to the metaphysical area where it's got stuff like all kinds of stuff, spirit guides, and all this voodoo stuff. And there's a book, Mere Christianity, right? And so that answered a lot of my questions. That was like, whoa, that makes sense. Way to go, C.S. Lewis. Obviously, this is a logical explanation. I was almost ready to be a Christian, but I didn't believe in the devil. Almost ready to be a Christian, but I couldn't really fully embrace the whole Christian concept because I didn't believe in Satan. I believed that what I was taught in my circle that I had grown up in, and that people had said the devil is just bad ideas. People have bad ideas, and that culminates in what we call the devil, and really that's all it is. So, speaking of the road less traveled, Scott Peck, he's a Christian, but I wouldn't call him a born again Christian just because of what he believes, but he calls himself a Christian, so let's just go with that. So, but I didn't know that at the time. All I know is I was trying to figure stuff out, and then what about this devil? Show me if there's a devil, because I don't believe it, right? So I find this book by Scott Peck about evil. I forgot the name of it, but it's like, why is there evil? Why is there evil? So, and this guy's a psychologist. So I'm reading the book, and a lot of it's talking about the Nazis and how people, and the communists, and how people torture people, and how they fall into that, and how it's like just a natural way to fall into, just accepting authority, and then you slip, and then it's just showed a lot of ways that people slip into evil. And then at the very end of the book, he says, but by the way, I am a Christian, and I want you to know that I do believe in demon possession because, and he gives like a couple of case studies about demon possession. And I'm reading this, and I'm going, oh, this is stupid. But yet, this guy, Scott Peck, was my guru. The Road Less Traveled is one of my most famous recovery, my most famous recovery books is The Road Less Traveled by what is his name, M. Scott Peck or Scott Peck. So he has validity in my heart, and that's when I said, "Show me if there's a devil." And sure enough, that very night, I had a demonic encounter. I'm not going to give you all the details. It's already long enough. But I had a demonic encounter, a very powerful demonic encounter, which if I tell you the whole story, you're going to think I'm insane, and maybe I am. But I had a demonic encounter that had audio involved and tactual. I didn't really see anything. But what did I do? I cried out for Jesus, right? And he saved me. So I think that that's maybe a picture of how it is. And I also know that what got me into all this in the beginning, why was I even seeking God, is because I knew I was a despicable person, right? That's what happened to those people in the books of Judges. They knew they were despicable. They knew that they had wronged God. There's something in our heart. It's not so much that we need God to be good, but we need to know how bad we are. And then cry out to him, and he'll be there for you. God bless you guys. Talk for now.